Hi, my name is Sue Tranchina, and today I'm going to be discussing assisting students with high incidence disabilities. The link to this presentation is at bit.ly/capital SUET 310. You do have to use caps lock on that. So my first slide is an interesting one to kind of start off with, but I thought it was important to show this definition of what assistive technology is. Assistive technology device means any item, piece of equipment, or product system, whether acquired commercially, off the shelf, modified, or customized, that is used to increase, maintain, or improve the functional capabilities of a child with a disability. And then you see all these little branch offs. So you see these tags that explain that any refers to an AT device is anything. You have a circle at the end that says a child with a disability, which is the focus of our work. You have some underlined words like the functional capabilities, which is the outcome of the AT, and so on and so forth. And the reason why I put this in here is because I found this while looking online for information about assistive technologies through the special education technology practice, and it helped me. Regardless of the fact of, whether or not a student has a disability, whether it's a high incidence disability in a sense where, you may not even know that the student has a disability that can impair their learning. I think that it's really important to start this whole presentation off by saying that a lot of these tools will help everyone. I think that that's the common denominator of all of the applications and extensions I will be going over, all of the assistive technology that can help these high incidence disability students. I think that ultimately all of the ways that I can make modifications to my lessons for those students individually will ultimately help the greater good and will help all of the students. I included this next slide because I think that it's really important to start this presentation by explaining to you that the starting point, the device that the student is handed by the school district, can really change the way that a teacher can assist that student. At Shore Regional High School, where I teach, we are a one-to-one school district and we use Chromebooks. So we are really heavy with Google products and Google Chrome along with Google Chromebooks. We use the Google Chrome Web Store for our extensions, and we use all of the G Suite applications in our school district. So when you're looking at the questions about how you determine the assistive technology for a particular student that may have a disability, in this situation, a high incidence disability, it's important to look at some of these questions, such as what materials are available to support the student. Because if the student has that Chromebook, this is an area where now we can really build on that. If it could be helpful for the teacher to explore the technologies that are available on the devices that the student is handed versus trying to go out and get additional devices to support that particular student, then I think that the district could benefit as well as the teacher and of course the student and their entire team. So getting into the first instructional challenge, I decided to go with memory loss or organization. And this is one of those applications that I just love. I love using it. It has helped me professionally, and it has helped all of my own students in class. If you've never heard of Google Keep before, it's a Google-created note-taking service with collaborators and reminders that can be set. So you can ultimately make a to-do list on Google Keep, and then you can share it with people. And then you can also set reminders for dates and times and locations to just have that pop up either on your phone if you have the phone app, or right on your Chromebook if you have the Chrome app. Having both of them is really great because it can sync between both of them. And whether you're the caregiver or you're the teacher, or if you're part of the child study team, or even if you're the student, everyone could be on a collaborative note together. Therefore, the collaborative note doesn't even need to be created by the student. It can be created by an assistant or an aide. It can be created by the teacher and then shared with the student. Ultimately, everyone can monitor the student's progress, and the student has a reference point to look back at. The best part about all of this is, unlike a Post-it note, this will always be saved either on your phone app in Google Keep, or it'll be saved right on Google Keep itself. There are a couple little boxes. If you see the one in the center that has the little light bulb, when you're on Gmail, you'll be able to just access that right right to the right side of where your Gmail is. So ultimately, this is really great for any students that are suffering from memory loss, short-term memory loss. But it's really, like I said before, a great tool for all students. The next instructional challenge I wanted to focus on is focus. Ironically, this is going to be for our ADHD students, myself included. I am one of those ADHD students. So I think that it's for mild to moderate students who have issues focusing. This is an extension that I have been using since I heard about it, and I've recommended it to many of my students, some that are high incidence disabled, but some also that are not, some that are general education with no disabilities whatsoever. And everyone just seems to be loving it. It's a great fix for classroom management because now I find that my students don't need to constantly have their phones out to watch a video on their phone while they're typing on a Google Doc. What Tab Scissors does is it's a Chrome store extension that splits your tabs into dual monitor layout. So ultimately, on one side of your screen, you can have an area where you're taking your notes, and on the other side, you can have another window open. So whether this is a video that was created by the teacher, say in a flipped classroom method, it's a YouTube video that you have open, it's an image of maybe an answer guide or of some steps that are supposed to be taken during a science lab, the student will ultimately just simply click on the Tab Scissors button. And when you have multiple tabs, the two of them will split like dual monitor on your screen. Just an excellent tool for all students, again, but ultimately for students that have issues focusing, this is a really great way to kind of not have to keep flipping back and forth between the two tabs, but just on your monitor simultaneously be able to work between the two areas. So I really love this next Chrome store extension, and this is called Beeline Reader. It limits your distraction through color recognition, and it was actually created by a coder out in Silicon Valley who just simply asked the question, why does text have to always be black? And didn't realize how many people he would actually be able to impact by changing that color. So Beeline Reader is Chrome store extension that wraps text with a highlight color at the end of one line. That color will continue to the start of the next line in the same color so that you don't lose your spot while you're reading. So this is going to be really, really great for students that have dyslexia. It's dyslexia friendly, so they modify the text so that it's for dyslexic students. Again, students that have issues with reading and focusing while reading, but it's really going to limit all distractions because you have that color recognition. You're not going to lose your spot and then suddenly, feel distracted because you can't find where you were just reading. They also talk about how it can help ELL students or ELL challenges with fluency and ease as well. So really anyone that's having an issue with reading, I love Beeline Reader simply because, again, high incidence disabilities that you can still continue to empower your students if you just put this assistive technology at their fingertips and they can really, keep up with the rest of the pack. The one thing I do want to say about this is that there's a quote on Beeline's site, and it was also stated by National Public Radio, NPR, and it said that Beeline's color gradient makes reading faster and easier for over 90% of the people. So I loved that little fact, and the reason why I included that is because, once again, this is an assistive technology that is introduced because of having a high incidence disability student, but again, one that could help additional students that don't necessarily have that high incidence disability. The next area I'm going to explore is color blindness, and I really love this Chrome store extension because it adapts the page that you're currently on to your specific color blindness. So this will work not only just with search, as you can see in the images. When we search for tomatoes, we see these bright red tomatoes, but when a student with color blindness searches, they may not recognize that red. So the Dalton application, when you actually turn it on, it'll adjust it so that they'll be able to actually see the images that appear. Depending on what level of color blindness they have, they may not actually see anything that comes up in a bright red tomato, or that image. So what the Dalton application actually does is it adjusts its visibility based off of the color blindness that the viewer has. So it's a Chromebook store extension that adapts the page you are on to your specific color blindness. This works not just with search, like I have in the examples here, but it also works with Google apps such as Slides. And I actually learned that if you do have this activated, if you have this extension activated and you jump from Google search right over to Slides, it'll just stay on. You won't have to reactivate it or anything. So you'll still get the same variant of the color range so that it'll be easier for a student that has color blindness to be able to see every different type of web page. Again, whether it's an application under Google Apps or you're just simply in search or you're even on a YouTube video. So the next high instance disability that I'm going to touch upon is for hearing impaired. And this is probably my favorite new addition to Google's accessibility tools. This is actually, there's no need to download anything else, but if you are using Google Slides, you can turn closed captioning on while you're presenting, and it will pick up the words that you are speaking live. This just became accessible to everyone this past fall. And right now in beta, just another little added bonus in beta is the translation version of this for all of our ESL students that might have issues listening to their teachers. So that's a little fun fact. But this closed captioning on live Google Slides is so great. It will automatically add closed captioning in real time while presenting live on Google Slides. So I think that for anyone who's hard of hearing or has mild to moderate hearing loss, whether they communicate with sign language or spoken language or both, or even a student, once again, a student that is in general education with no disabilities or a disability that has nothing to do with their hearing. I think that this is just a wonderful tool for everyone. You know, we watch YouTube videos, we put on the captions for all of our students to be able to pay attention and not feel distracted and see while they're hearing. Now we can just manage to do it live. And of course, it's not 100% accurate. But if we can't have someone who speaks sign language standing next to us while we're presenting for that student that has that hearing loss or that has a hearing impairment, this could be a really excellent tool. I love this story, so I'm going to include it. It's from the National Institute on Deafness and Other Communication Disorders, and it's about how hearing impaired viewers of television are able to enjoy what they're viewing a little bit better with closed captioning. So the story itself is actually from August 5th, 1972, and it's that French chef Julia Child in a program televised from Boston's WGBH studios taught viewers one of her prized chicken recipes. That historic broadcast was the first time that deaf and hard of hearing Americans could enjoy the audio portion of a nationally televised program through the use of closed captions. And since then, captions have opened the world of television to people who are deaf and hard of hearing. I think that just speaks of how important it is for viewers of any visual platform that are hearing impaired or that have mild to moderate hearing loss can also partake in the instruction without any limitations by having something like an assistive technology like live closed captioning. To conclude, I love this quote that I came across from The Psychology of Schools, and it's the success or failure of any instructional intervention depends on how it is used. And I truly believe that the most important thing is for us to measure each and every individual student and make sure that the tools that we're using on them work for them, and to just know that some of the tools that we have might be our favorite tools, but it doesn't mean that it's a tool that can be successful for all students. Ultimately, we want to just even the playing ground so that everyone has an equal opportunity to learn and to succeed in their future. And I love that we can do this through the help of assistive technologies.